In the last few decades, austerity allowed for creative industries to thrive. To deal with the debt crisis, governments moved to cut spending in the public sector as opposed to increasing taxes on corporations. This opposition led corporate retailers to flood the market with cheaply made and easy-to-find fashion. Austerity chic trended massively following the collapse. It refers to a vintage aesthetic that incorporates sustainability and treats thriftiness as a lifestyle choice. In the game of trend snatching, an underdog blooms in the shadow of fluorescent shopping palaces. Thrift stores are retail outlets typically selling second-hand or vintage goods. We took a look down side streets in central London to find out why shopping in thrift stores entered the mainstream game. We stayed away from buzzwords like austerity, so interviewees gave responses without preconceived notions.
Vintage clothing has kind of been a cultural trend in a way for the past 10 years on and off, and we're kind of more popular now than we have been, so it's quite nice to be slow and steady for us.
Initially, thrift stores were thought to be, by definition, thrifty. However, the trending demand for secondhand and vintage clothing changed the industry dramatically.
So like when I used to go to vintage shops like 10, 15 years ago, they were sort of quite hard to find. You'd have to go to like certain places in London like Brick Lane, but now it just seems like they're everywhere. Our prices are actually quite competitive with high street stores.
After taking a look at prices in both very different industries, we realized that thrift stores are competing with high street stores in terms of price. We spoke to shoppers about why they choose to shop at thrift stores.
I don't really like the things on the high street. I mean, there's like loads of stuff which I really like because they do have like everything that's in at the moment. I mean, I'd rather like spend more money on something that's better and that I like more than on something which maybe doesn't last that long. So, yeah.
Vintage is clothes that are from a certain time that you can't really find anywhere in like a high street store. We have clothes that you could sort of create your own outfit from.
Charity shops pay less tax than regular businesses and take clothing donations from people, so they can charge much less than thrift shops. In terms of sustainability, many of these thrift stores participate in recycled fashion programs, or in austerity terms, upcycling.
They take old clothes and they turn them into new things, so like crop tops. They turn leather jackets into bags.
The very nature of it is by default recycling, and it is by default better for the environment.
Thrift culture emerges in resistance to deregulated markets that produce a conveyor belt of fashion. Most people that support thrifting are not concerned with cost or its contributions to the environment. What is important to the average buyer is that it makes them feel unique and individual, and by default, denies major retailers control over style and self.